Hello my friends, William Poloniak here again at Whole Health Foundation. In this video I'm going to display another juice formula for my quest on juices for spine health. These juices will actually rejuvenate the whole body, but this formula is especially designed for spine health, and I'm going to display my ingredients. One of the most important ingredients is French sorrel that I have here. I also have some celery, some collard greens, and here I have a zucchini that was so big I had to cut it into sixths. I have garlic, ginger, beet tops, one medium-sized beet, some broccoli stems, and some lettuce. So there you have my ingredients for today's juice, and let's go ahead and make some juice. So I just want to point out I'm done with my celery, and I'm going to juice the broccoli stems and the other vegetables now. You may have to cut this up into more manageable sections. This broccoli stem looks a little big. I want to point out it's a good idea to clean the grid often. Both sides. Put it back in and continue. And I also want to point out that you can reuse the food grade preparation gloves several times. This is about the 5th or 6th time that I've used these gloves. You can see they're stained with greens and carrots. So I'm going to continue here with the broccoli stems. Get some of these other vegetables. I want to remind you to put in 3 ice cubes every so often. The thermometer will let you know when to do it. When you get up to 20 degrees centigrade, add 3 ice cubes. And I want to remind you again to clean the grid frequently, both sides, and scrape it rather than cut it. You don't want to miss it and hit your fingers, although the gloves will protect you. So clean both sides. The more frequently you clean the grid, the better. And now I'm going to start with my collard greens. I like to roll them into a little packet like that. Okay, I'm down to the last of my collard greens, so next I'm going to juice the French sorrel. And I want to remind you that the French sorrel is one of the most beneficial plants that you can put into your juices and even salads if you want it in a salad. It will cleanse every gland in your body, and it is especially useful for spine health. So next we are going to do the greens, and then we'll switch to carrots. I'm done making my greens, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the what's known as a J grid with the 3/16 inch holes, clean it, and I'm going to switch to the grid that has 1/8 inch holes because it does a better job on carrots. So we'll set this aside and clean it later. The 1/8 inch holes for carrots, beetroots, other soft vegetables, and then we'll begin with carrots. And if you have small carrots like I do, you can reverse them, maybe even put in 3 to save a little bit of time. And I'm going to point out that I'm making juice on the new Whole Health Foundation Premium 800 model juicer with the solid bottom plate. The solid bottom plate has a lifetime warranty, and I'm going to explain further when I'm juicing why that's so important. So let's start with some carrots. Point out a couple of things. Check your wing nuts. Push down with both hands whenever possible because you want to keep your posture erect. and check your thermometer frequently. When it gets up to 20 degrees centigrade, add some ice cubes. Okay, I'm done with my carrots now, and I want to point out, whenever possible, use both hands so that your posture's erect. Rotate your bowl, and when you're down to your last carrots, there's always a little plug of carrot in here, so take some pulp, put it in, and force that last little plug through. Alright, I finished cleaning the feed tube, and a couple little tips. You want to put the cutter on top, never leave it on the machine, hole facing down so that water drains out, and put the grid with the grid holder back in the juicer. And the next step will be to mix the produce. And what I'm going to do is spin the bowl in both directions. Once I go all the way around, I'm going to reverse direction, and you can see that it's getting really mixed well. The next step is to take the cloths out of the freezer, peel them apart, and you remember when you put the cloths in the freezer, you first press the water out, otherwise you could never get them apart. You can see they're a little bit frozen here, but easy to separate. So I have 6 cloths for my 6 cloth method, which I'm going to demonstrate next. So we have all my cloths unfolded, and what I'm going to do now is what I call my 6 cloth method, my less work 6 cloth method. And what you do is you put 3 medium spoons in each cloth, and watch my folding technique. Fold it over, flatten it down, fold it over as tight as you can get it, flatten it down, little crease back here, and then grab this with your fingers and tuck it under. Now watch carefully, I'll do this slowly. And then you set it aside. We want to press 2 cloths full of pulp at a time. So 2 heaping spoons or 3 medium spoons, there's 2 heaping spoons. Fold it over, flatten it down, fold it over, flatten it down, and watch again as I pull this under with my fingers, and then set it aside. This is going to go in the tray, centered, all the way back, and back it off. And I want to point out, because of the bottom base plate being solid, and it does have a lifetime warranty, you can leave your press up longer and extract more juice. Now in the beginning, I'm not going to leave it up as long as I can, because I'm going to be repacking these with my less work 6 cloth method. So let's get that started. We'll get a new set of cloths going here. And this next step is very important because I'm not going to throw away the pulp. Here's my 6 cloth method. This comes forward, this goes over, the spent cloths go on top, this goes in the tray centered, all the way back, back it off a little bit. Now instead of throwing away this pulp, what I'm going to do is put 2 spoonsful on top. In the beginning, 2 spoonfuls. Toward the end, this will be a thicker patty, so you only want to put 1 spoonful. So we'll put a couple of spoonfuls, medium spoonfuls, on top, pull it into a tight package, flatten it, use my folding technique, flatten it. That's very important to have that flat. Advance that a little bit. Again, 2 medium spoonfuls. Well, that's a little bit big, so 1.5 this time. Pull it into a tight package. A little fold back here. Now again, because we're using the less work 6 cloth method, I don't have to wait for every last drop. So I'm going to back that off and go through the process again. This goes in the juicer, centered, all the way back, back it off. I have a little puddle of juice here, so what I'm going to do is pour this in here as carefully as I can, and then continue with the same process. Okay, now we're about halfway through, all the way back, back it off a little bit. And I want to point out that my little patty here for my 6 cloth less work method is getting thicker and thicker. So what I'm going to do is put 1 spoon and pull it into a tight package. The goal is to have the perfect size package, not have more juice. So we're going to pull that into a package, pull it into a tight cube, flatten it. That's about as big as you want that package to be. Slide it in there. Advance this a little bit. And again, I'll point out this is getting thicker and thicker, so I'm going to put in 1 large ladle of pulp. Advance that all the way. And I notice I'm getting pretty full here, so I'm going to stop and fill up my bottles. Again, pull this into a tight, compact package. That's almost too big, but acceptable. Pull this forward, pull that over. And this, we're going to set up here the spent cloths. The tray we're going to put back, but so that it's obvious that it's not seated correctly. If you put it back just a tiny bit to stop this from dripping, you'll forget and you'll damage your tray. So put it back all the way, and we'll take this over and fill the bottles. Now I'm leaving about 8% to top off with distilled water. I'm going to advance that a little bit more, and I'm down to my last little bit of pulp, so I'm using a spatula to get that out. I want to get every drop of juice from my produce that I can. And this is my last cloth of pulp, and I'm going to pull that into a tight package, as tight as I can get it. And remember, the goal is to make a small, tight, thick package, not to get more pulp in there. So we'll pull that in, flatten it. That's about almost a perfect size. It's not totally square, but pretty close. So we'll advance that all the way. And while that's going up, what I'm going to do with this spent cloth is I'm going to pull it into a tight ball. Just watch what I'm doing here. Come in close. And I'm going to take the spent pulp, make a tight package, and let's see if we can get any more juice out of that spent pulp. And notice what I'm doing at the end. I'm tucking this under to prevent any slippage. Turn it upside down, flatten it. Pull this back. And I'm going to do that to all of the spent pulp. And as you'll see in the next video clip, we're going to see how much extra juice we get from the spent pulp. So we'll pull this into a very tight ball. And again, I'm going to fold that under. Take a close look at that. Turn it upside down, flatten it. Again, let's take a look at this one. I'm going to pull that into as tight a ball as I can get. Just watch carefully what I'm doing. And then we're going to pull that into a tight, thick, but narrow package. And again, I'm going to tuck this under like so at the very end, because this is going to be under tremendous pressure. Upside down, flatten it, set it aside. Okay, my friends, I've taken the spent pulp and formed it into a thick, narrow ball. And again, I'm going to point out how I fold them on the bottom so that there's no slippage. And I want to see from this spent pulp, already pressed out juice, how much more juice we can get using a Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer. So we'll put 2 of these cloths in here. And I want to mention again that you can leave the Whole Health Foundation model up longer than 20 seconds. So all the way back, we're going to back it off a little bit. And I have a measuring beaker here that's going to tell us how many ounces we get. All the way. It's going up a little too fast, so I'm going to back it off a little bit. So far we've got 2 extra ounces. As long as we have a stream of juice, I'm going to leave it up. Now let's set this aside, press it later, and go to another set of cloths. Again, this is spent pulp. very important to make sure this is centered in both directions, because this is under tremendous pressure all the way back. I'm going to back it off a tiny bit in the beginning. So far, 8 ounces. I'm going to go all the way. Now, because my beaker's full, I'm going to back that off and I'm going to pour this into a bottle. So far, a little more than 8 ounces. And let's continue pressing those cloths. Anytime you touch a sponge or a countertop, wash your hands. So let's back that off. Let's set this aside and take the last set of 2 cloths with the spent pulp. Centered in the tray, that's very important. Centered in both directions, all the way back it off a little bit. And again, anytime you touch a sponge, you wash your hands. Cleanliness is very, very important. That's it all the way. So 8 ounces plus, oh, so far another 6 ounces. Oh my goodness. That's it all the way. Another 8 ounces. Okay, I'm not going to press every last thimbleful out. I just want to demonstrate the point. And from the spent pulp, we got another more than 16 ounces. I want to point out at the end of this video that the last 10% of your juice has the most concentrated nutrients. So if you're doing this for health, especially if you have cancer, you want to get that last 10% of those nutrients, a very powerful healing nutrients in that last 10%. And that's why the Whole Health Foundation bottom base plate is solid, to enable you to keep that up longer than 20 seconds. Let's see if we can squeeze even more juice out of that. I'm going to put one more cloth on top here. And let's fill that right to the top. And let's see. We've got a half an ounce in there. Let's see if we can get any more out of that. So back it off a little bit. I'm going to center that a little bit better. There we go. So we had a half an ounce. And I suspect if I continued to press this and took the time, I'd get another full ounce of juice. But for the sake of keeping this video brief, I'm not going to do that. And there you have a demonstration, my friends. I hope you found that helpful. Right, before I end this video, I want to point out that I've made 5, 10, 15, 17 bottles plus an extra 16, probably 20 ounces, because I've already drank about 6 ounces. So from the juice, 17 bottles plus an extra 16 ounces from pressing the spent pulp. And I wanted to point that out before we end this video. Demonstration, my friends. I hope you found that helpful. If you'd like to call me, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthfound.com. And if you'd like more information about the Whole Health Foundation Premium Model Juicer, many parts have a lifetime warranty. Give me a phone call or send me an email. I'll see you in the next video.